My name is Aveline Carter, and I'm 31. I sell enterprise software, clean pipelines, cleaner spreadsheets. My life is built on reconciled columns: income, savings, peace. I don't raise my voice. I raise documentation. Thursday, 2:17 p.m. Front desk calls up, sounding like a bad weather alert. Aveline, can you come down? There's a delivery. The lobby lights have that sterile glow that makes everyone look like a suspect. The process server says my name with practiced neutrality and hands me an envelope thick enough to be a book I didn't order. Emergency Protective Order. Petitioner Leo Monroe, 28. Allegations: emotional and financial abuse. I read it beneath a ficus that's seen worse. His evidence: a string of texts where I asked why he spent $1,800 at a luxury store 2 days after telling me he couldn't cover his car note, plus an email suggesting we sit down and set a budget. His written statement: she tracks every purchase, questions me constantly, and makes me fear her reactions. Reality: reconciled, 4 credit cards in his name. I pay them. His apartment lease: my signature as guarantor because his credit's a cautionary tale. Car insurance: my policy, he's an added driver. Automatic transfers set up by me when he said this would be temporary. 2 years later, temporary still had my routing number. The order says no contact, direct or indirect, 100 yards, effective immediately. I don't call, I don't cry. I go back upstairs and open my banking apps like they're stage curtains. Within the hour, I stop. Everything. Credit cards: canceled my payments. They're his accounts. I was volunteering the lifeline. Transfers: off. Insurance: removed him as an authorized driver. Streaming: changed every password. Phone plan: removed his line effective next cycle. Lease guarantee: wrote to the property manager, Carla, exercising my right to withdraw as guarantor with 30 days' notice. Carla replies at 3:08 p.m. Clinical but kind. If Mr. Monroe cannot qualify a loan or find a new guarantor within 30 days, he'll need to vacate or face eviction. Her signature block is tidy. I save the email to a folder named Leo, order/actions. I take screenshots for everything else. A timestamp can be a lullaby. At 3:30, I present Q3 projections to a client like my day isn't on fire. I hit my numbers. I always hit my numbers. Evening is quiet in a way that feels performative. The order is mutual. He can't contact me either. No buzzing phone, no apology flares, just my apartment under warm light, a basil plant leaning toward whatever sun it can find, and a toothbrush cup that suddenly looks like a courtroom exhibit. I think about the first time Leo called me controlling, softly, like a diagnosis you deliver after dessert. It was the same week his ex-girlfriend Kayla texted him, "You're always so resourceful," a compliment that sounded like a receipt. I didn't ask then. I'm not asking now. I have paperwork. Saturday, 8:02 a.m. My phone rings from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. It leaves a baritone with velvet edges. Ms. Carter, this is Daniel Kessler, counsel for Mr. Monroe. There seems to be a misunderstanding. The protective order inadvertently disrupted several financial arrangements. I call back because I don't do ambiguity. Mr. Kessler, the order states no contact. Of course, but my client depends on the payments you were making. Would you consider amending the order to permit financial discussions? No need, I say. I am complying with the order. No contact includes no financial relationship. Your client described my financial involvement as abusive. I'm removing myself from the abusive situation. Isn't that what protective orders are for? He sputters words like retaliatory and bad faith. I say compliance and hang up. 20 minutes later, the indirects begin. Friends of his, numbers I don't know, messages about toxic women weaponizing money. I screenshot and archive. Proxy contact is still contact. Monday, a formal letter from Daniel demands I resume support during this transition. I forward it to my lawyer, Robert Chen, hired Saturday after my coffee cooled. Robert's reply is mercilessly neat. Per the order, Ms. Carter cannot maintain any relationship with Mr. Monroe. Financial support constitutes a relationship. He CCs himself like a metronome. By lunch, Instagram flares. Leo's best friend Mia posts a story. When controlling partners cut off money after you stand up to them, classic financial abuse. She adds screenshots, her first mistake. In them, Leo writes, "She canceled everything, not even Hulu. I told you the restraining order would make her notice, but now she won't pay my cards. Daniel says he can't force her." Someone sends the story to me. I save it. Mia deletes the post, too late for the internet's memory. Tuesday evening, Carla calls. Her voice is steady. The content isn't. "Ms. Carter, we're noting that Mr. Monroe hasn't provided new qualifications. He has 23 days left." "Understood." She hesitates. "He came in today with his mother, Diane. Ms. Monroe attempted to renew the guarantor form with your signature." "Excuse me?" "We have your signature on file. This was not it. We've referred the matter to our legal team and local police." I picture Diane, impeccable hair, perfume that arrives before she does, a cadence that turns pressure into politeness. I picture her pen trying to be me. I feel relief that I am not a pen. Wednesday, another round of texts from unfamiliar numbers, little sermons about compassion. I batch report and breathe. Leo's car disappears from his feed. By afternoon, I hear why. Repossession. Not my doing, 4 months behind. Without my transfers, the engine of denial stalls fast. Mia tries another post blaming me. A commenter points out the math. If he says she took his car, doesn't that mean she was paying for it? The post vanishes like a magic trick you see the strings on. Thursday, Daniel again, with the tone of a man selling a rug that's actually a trapdoor. "My client is willing to dissolve the restraining order if you'll reopen financial support." I don't consent, I say. The order protects him. I wouldn't want him to feel unsafe. You could agree to mutual dissolution. I've adjusted my life to comply. No need to change. He'll be evicted. That would be unfortunate, a beat. But I cannot violate the order. He hangs up hard. I file the call note with the rest. The folder feels lighter to me and heavier to him. That's how truth works when you put it in the right container. I bake a loaf that night because my hands need a task my head doesn't argue with. Dough listens. Structure rises. When the timer dings, I think, if your story calls my boundaries abuse, you've just given me the cleanest path to leave the story. Paperwork. Notarize mercy. The basil leans toward the lamp, greedy for a kinder sun. I lean back in my chair, open the Leo, order/actions folder, and watch the confirmations stack like bricks. Somewhere across town, Diane is rehearsing a signature that will never be mine, and Leo is learning that a door will stay closed even if you knock with a lawyer. I sleep. The city hums. My spreadsheet balances. The silence is not ominous. It's earned. When people talk about peace, they usually mean quiet. But quiet can have tones. Mine had a hum beneath it, the kind that comes from a power line about to snap. 3 days after the forgery attempt, I got an email from Robert, my lawyer. Subject, update, Monroe case. He'd spoken to the apartment's legal department. Their words, "We're pursuing forgery charges. The video evidence is clear." Video evidence. Diane, perfectly manicured, trying to pass herself off as me on camera. I almost admired the confidence. Almost. By noon, I started receiving text messages from unknown numbers again. "You've ruined a man's life over money. He said you're unstable. Stop pretending to be the victim." The profile photos were all mutual acquaintances from Leo's circle: Mia, Trent, Shay. Each text felt like a mosquito, small, noisy, and self-important. I documented them, screenshot after screenshot, until my gallery looked like a legal exhibit. At 4 p.m., Carla, the property manager, called again. "Ms. Carter, just a heads up. Mr. Monroe's 30-day qualification deadline is approaching. He hasn't submitted anything yet. If he doesn't secure a new guarantor, the lease will terminate." Her voice carried that practiced calm of someone who's seen every variation of disaster. "I understand," I said. "Please proceed by the book." "Oh, we are, especially after the forgery incident." There was a pause. Then, "He came in again today, with his mother." I closed my eyes. "Let me guess. She tried to insist you'd changed your mind. We asked her to leave." When we hung up, I sat at my dining table, the same one Leo once claimed was Too big for just one person. He'd said it like a compliment. Now, the space felt exactly right. Saturday morning, another unknown number. Voicemail. Then a text. Daniel Kessler, again. Leo's lawyer. Persistent to the point of parody. Ms. Carter, my client is experiencing hardship. He has nowhere to stay. His mother is distraught. If you'd be open to temporary assistance, a single payment, it could prevent further escalation. I stared at the message, the gall of it. He'd called the law, declared me abusive, and now wanted rent money. I replied with one line. Per the restraining order, I cannot provide financial assistance. That would constitute contact. He didn't respond. By noon, Mia had posted another Instagram story. Aveline's pretending to be strong, but karma's coming. A photo of Leo's packed boxes in the background. I rolled my eyes, muted her account, and kept scrolling. Then something unexpected happened. A follower I didn't know, username @LexLegal, commented, Mia, your friend's karma is called Eviction. He filed a false claim. Maybe check the public record before you post. Within hours, the comment section turned into a courtroom, half defending him, half dissecting the receipts. Mia deleted everything. The internet never forgets. Screenshots were already circulating in group chats. Monday. Robert called during my lunch break. Big update. The forgery report was filed officially. Diane Monroe will likely be charged within 48 hours. And get this, she also attempted to add herself to your car insurance as Leo's guardian. I almost laughed. Guardian? He's 28. Exactly, which is why they flagged it as fraud. He paused, voice steady. Aveline, this isn't just vindictive anymore. This is criminal. Stay detached. Don't engage. I haven't, I said. I'm just saving screenshots and baking bread. He chuckled. Then keep baking. That night, I did just that. Kneading dough felt like proof that control could exist in small, gentle things. While the dough rose, I thought about Leo's mother, the way she'd always described him as sensitive to criticism, the way she'd call me after minor arguments, phrasing everything as advice but always taking his side. Maybe she thought she was protecting him. Maybe she just needed a project. Either way, she'd picked the wrong form of art. By midweek, the situation unraveled faster than I could refresh my inbox. Leo's credit cards, maxed out. His car, repossessed. His lawyer, withdrawn from representation for ethical reasons. The internet chorus, quieter now that the receipts didn't favor him. But he wasn't done yet. Thursday, a new lawyer appeared. Email signature, Thomas Rayburn, Esquire. Tone, arrogant optimism. Ms. Carter, my client is facing dire financial circumstances. In the spirit of reconciliation, we propose a temporary reinstatement of financial assistance to cover essentials, housing, transportation, and therapy. Robert drafted the reply before I finished reading. Mr. Rayburn, any financial support would constitute renewed contact with a party who claims emotional abuse. That would endanger both clients. My client respectfully declines. 2 sentences that slammed every door. That evening, I poured wine, opened in my phone, and watched the inevitable unfold. Mia, again, this time with a full post. When women weaponize money, men suffer in silence. Had financial abuse. Justice for Leo. 5 hours later, someone in the comments uploaded screenshots from her DMs. I told Leo filing a restraining order would scare her. Now he's broke and blaming me. The post vanished before midnight. Friday morning, Carla called for the last time that week. Ms. Carter, she said carefully, I thought you'd like to know. The apartment's management has issued the eviction notice. Mr. Monroe has 23 days to vacate. Thank you, I said, simple as that. I made tea, opened my folder labeled compliance, and added one final PDF. For the first time since the order, I felt something close to satisfaction. But it wasn't revenge. It was the clean, administrative click of a lock sliding into place. Some people confuse kindness with compliance, but I've learned compliance, when executed correctly, is its own quiet rebellion. Across the city, Leo and Diane were likely drafting their next plan, but I had what they didn't: proof, boundaries, sleep. The city outside buzzed with weekend energy. Inside, my apartment was silent but full. No chaos, no begging calls, no pretending. Just the sound of the oven timer, the scent of bread and justice cooling together. The following week felt like the world had decided to test the limits of irony. On Monday morning, I opened my email to a headline forwarded by Robert: Local woman arrested for lease forgery and identity theft. It took me 2 reads to register the name below: Diane Monroe, Leo's mother, the same woman who once brought me homemade cookies wrapped in foil when I helped her son refinance his car. The police report, now public, listed 3 separate offenses: forging my signature on a lease renewal, attempting to add herself to my car insurance policy, and opening a credit card application using my information. The digital trail was meticulous. Her handwriting, not so much. Robert called within minutes. She's claiming stress-induced confusion. Stress doesn't sign 3 different forms, I said flatly. Agreed. It's identity theft, clear-cut. Her lawyer's already negotiating a plea. I thought I'd feel satisfaction. I didn't. Just the dull echo of disbelief that people could build their lives out of other people's names. That same afternoon, Leo's new lawyer, Tom Rayburn, sent another demand letter. The subject line read, Emergency Support Proposal. He wanted me to provide 6 months of rehabilitation assistance, citing the economic trauma Leo had endured due to my sudden financial withdrawal. I forwarded it to Robert. His reply was 1 line. We cannot in good faith provide financial aid to someone our client's restraining order protects her from. Then he added a PS. Also, the term economic trauma isn't a legal category, yet. That night, I treated myself to take out sushi and a movie that didn't mention lawyers. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Voicemail, then a text. He's really hurting, Aveline. He's lost everything. Don't you feel anything? I recognized the tone. Mia. Always the volunteer spokesperson for lost causes. I didn't respond, but I did block the number and add the screenshot to my indirect contact folder. Evidence now had its own rhythm. 2 days later, the internet decided to write its own sequel. A new crowdfunding page appeared. Help a DV survivor escape financial abuse. The profile photo, Leo, eyes soulful, caption beneath a tragic paragraph about being cut off by a controlling partner after standing up for himself. Goal, $10,000, raised in 3 days, 73 hours. I might have ignored it, but people started sending me the link with popcorn emojis. Someone in the comments posted screenshots from Leo's public Instagram history, designer shoes, weekend getaways, spa selfies captioned, grateful for the man who treats me right. The campaign was reported for fraud and taken down within hours. The internet has a strange sense of justice. Slow, messy, but effective. Friday morning, my phone rang again. Not a lawyer this time. Ms. Carter? The voice was older, quieter, male. This is Richard Monroe, Diane's ex-husband, Leo's father. I froze, halfway through my second coffee. How did you get my number? I asked Robert, he admitted. I needed to apologize. I heard everything. Silence on my end. I went through the same thing, with Diane, he continued. False abuse claims, forged documents. She even tried to put my name on a loan after we divorced. His sigh carried years of exhaustion. I tried to warn Leo, but he thinks manipulation is strategy, like his mother. I let him talk. His voice was gentle, apologetic, human in a way his family rarely was. You did the right thing, he said finally. They'll escalate until you stop reacting. Once they realize they can't get a rise out of you, they'll move on. Don't give in. I wasn't planning to, I said. He chuckled softly. Then you'll be fine. After the call, I sat at my kitchen counter for a long time. The basil plant needed trimming. The bread knife lay beside unpaid bills that weren't mine anymore. It struck me. Peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the absence of access. Over the weekend, the situation turned theatrical. Diane held an impromptu press conference outside the courthouse after posting bail. Someone sent me the video link. She stood in oversized sunglasses, reporters circling, declaring, Men weaponize money to control women. My daughter and grandson are victims of financial abuse. A reporter interrupted. Ma'am, court documents show you forged Ms. Carter's signature on multiple forms. Isn't that financial abuse? Her face faltered for the first time. I was protecting my family. Another reporter asked, by committing fraud? The clip cut off mid-defensive rant. By evening, the footage went viral in legal circles as how not to handle PR during a criminal case. Monday morning, Carla called again, just confirming Mr. Monroe has 48 hours to vacate. The sheriff will supervise if necessary. Her tone carried no malice, only administrative mercy. Did he find a new place? I asked. Unlikely. Every application was denied after the credit check, and the arrest didn't help. I thanked her for the update and hung up. For a brief moment, I felt pity. Not for Leo, but for the person he might have been before Diane turned every relationship into a negotiation. But pity is just empathy with better boundaries. That evening, I poured a glass of wine and watched the city from my balcony. Cars pulsed like neurons below. Somewhere across town, Diane was probably drafting her next speech, and Leo was rehearsing his next version of the story. I thought about the last text he ever sent me, before the order. "You're overreacting." It replayed in my mind now, reshaped. I reacted. "You overplayed." I took another sip and smiled. For months, I'd been painted as controlling, cold, calculating. Maybe they were right, just not in the way they meant. Because control, in the right hands, isn't cruelty, it's closure. By the time the eviction date arrived, the city had turned from gold to gray. Rain pooled in the cracks of the sidewalk as if the weather itself wanted to wash everything clean. At 9 a.m., I got an email from Carla. "Ms. Carter, I'm informing you that Mr. Monroe's eviction was completed this morning without incident. The unit is now vacant." No fanfare, no confrontation, just a single line that ended 2 years of chaos. I closed the laptop and exhaled. For the first time in months, there was no crisis to monitor, no lawyer's name lighting up my phone, no new false narrative trending under hashtags I never asked for. I made coffee. The steam curled in the morning light like punctuation, soft, final. Then the universe decided to test me one last time. At noon, my mother called. Her tone was careful in that way mothers use when they've already decided you'll be angry. "Aveline, honey, you're not going to like this." "Who died?" I said, half joking. "Not who called." Pause. "Leo." I stopped stirring my coffee. "He called you?" "He said he just wanted to talk, that you'd blocked him and misunderstood everything." She sighed. "He sounded desperate." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "And what did you say?" "I told him, 'You have a restraining order, son. If you need closure, write it in a journal.'" Her voice shifted from gentle to amused. He hung up before I could finish. Despite myself, I laughed. My mother could diffuse a bomb with sarcasm. "Thanks, Mom. Don't thank me yet. He'll probably try again." She was right. 2 days later, he showed up at my office lobby. Security called me at 10:42 a.m. "Ms. Carter, there's a man downstairs asking for you. Says his name is Leo Monroe." I closed my laptop slowly. "Keep him there. I'm calling the police." The restraining order wasn't just ink. It was armor. Within 15 minutes, 2 officers escorted him outside. He cried, shouted that he just wanted to talk. One of the officers calmly reminded him that violating a protective order was an arrestable offense. He didn't believe them until the cuffs came out. Robert texted an hour later. "He's been booked. 24-hour hold for violating the order." It wasn't joy I felt, just a quiet, weary relief. The kind that comes when a noise finally stops after months of static. Days later, Diane Monroe emerged again. Outside the courthouse, reporters caught her attempting another statement, claiming Leo's arrest was proof of systemic bias. This time, even her usual sympathizers looked away. The footage went nowhere. No one wanted to amplify a woman on probation for forgery preaching about injustice. Behind the scenes, Leo filed a motion to dissolve the order. The judge reviewed his violation record and denied it instantly. His new lawyer, Tom, tried one last angle. "Ms. Carter, my client will sign a written admission retracting all abuse claims if you provide 6 months of financial support to help him get back on his feet." Robert read the email aloud in court and actually laughed. Rehabilitation from what? Accountability? Even the judge smirked. Motion denied. Case closed. A week later, I stopped by my parents' house for dinner. My mom greeted me at the door with her usual blunt affection. "Did you hear? Diane's doing community service, accounting department at the courthouse. Poetic, huh?" I smiled. Maybe she can forge attendance sheets this time. We laughed until it hurt. For the first time, laughter didn't feel like disbelief. It felt like reclamation. 3 months later, my life was quiet again. Not empty, quiet. I'd redirected the $3,500 a month I used to spend on Leo's bills into my own life. Half went into an investment fund, half went into living. I started a baking class at a local community center. I bought a high-end espresso machine that hissed like satisfaction every morning. I took a trip to Seattle, alone, and realized how different solitude felt when it wasn't isolation. People talk about closure like it's something someone gives you, but I learned it's something you file, notarize, and move forward from. Sometimes I still get updates through the grapevine. Carla mentioned Leo and Diane had moved into a 1-bedroom unit together in a low-income complex on the east side. He's working retail. She's on probation. Apparently, he's already dating again. Another woman, another pattern beginning. When Richard Monroe called me a final time, it wasn't with an apology, just acknowledgement. You did what I never could, he said quietly. You walked away before the damage became permanent. I just followed the paperwork, I said. He chuckled softly. No, Aveline, you followed the truth. That's rarer. Sometimes I still see Leo's name pop up on old receipts in my inbox or archived messages. I don't delete them. They remind me of what control used to cost me. There's no hatred left, only distance. He got the space he asked for. I got my life back. Now, every time someone mentions enthusiastic compliance, I think of that Thursday afternoon when I first read the order under the flickering lobby light. He wanted distance. I gave him the whole galaxy. I close my laptop, stretch, and look out at the city. Somewhere below, car horns layer over the hum of traffic, a reminder that chaos still exists, just not in my name anymore. And in my kitchen, the oven timer dings softly. Bread. Warm. Rising. Proof that what's broken can still rise again, if you stop feeding what keeps it sinking.